Hello and welcome to Real Hi-Fi Help. Well, let's talk about Inwall single wire power cables on amplifiers. Why not? Why can't we do that? I know a lot of people that have tried using these 079 Oyaide plugs and FluidTech plugs and stuff like that with Cardas and Inwall cable. Those are like exclusive hi-fi Inwall cables, which cost like, I don't know, $50 or something like that per meter. Or just they've even tried using a $1 a standard Inwall power cable, and I've tried it, they've tried it, and in some ways it sounds awesome and it gives you a really good value. But there are some problems doing that. First of all, when you do this, you get crazy amounts of power, control, and pressure, which is just awesome. And it's really cool, especially if you have a weak Class A tube amplifier and you put it on like a regular speaker. And I'm talking a speaker that is probably around 90 dB or maybe even lower than that, 85 dB. That can make a huge difference. So suddenly the tube amplifier just seems as if it has 2 or 3 times more watts to drive the speaker. So that's good in a way, but let's just get into some like the deeper truth, and that is that me doing a couple of hundred tests, I've realized that normal Inwall cable kind of sucks, the sound that you get from it, because it's just really bad, really uninviting. It's very flat, basic, muted, raw, simple. There's just not a lot there. It's almost as if you're eating a meal, a dinner, where you don't have any spices, you don't have any herbs, you don't have any gravy. It's just a meat and potato. Sorry, that's my phone. And it's kind of annoying. So I had to go to cables like Gigawatt Inwall, and they suddenly have a lot more pressure, a lot more power, and a lot more neutrality, and then suddenly you get access to this sort of three-dimensional sound. It's still not perfect, but it is a lot better than the normal Inwall cables. Then you get over to this like Cardas Inwall cable, which is physically thicker and doesn't have this same type of shielding, which also affects the sound quite a bit. Meaning that you have more power, more pressure, more low end, but it's more colored and it's slightly more two-dimensional. So a lot of people owning transistor gear, they would probably like that type of sound. I really like that type of sound with most of the transistor gear that I had. It really helped elevate the transistor gear, so it gave it more of a tubey sound with a lot more power. So that alone can make your 100-watt amplifier seem like something that's, let's just say 110, 120 watts. It can seem like that. So those are good properties. Those are interesting things, but we run into 2 problems. First of all, it's illegal. So it's just that's kind of annoying. But there's a second problem, and that's the detail issues that you get. And I'll just share this with you guys because I've heard it so many times at my own place and at friends' places. And it's a sort of a thing, a bit like in high-end hi-fi, that can lure you in and can seem just like, wow, why not do this? But I'm going to explain to you exactly why you don't want to do it sound-wise. So this took me quite a while to mentally figure out what was going on, because it has a very distinct type of flow when you're going with this type of cable that is not legal, not the standard, and can actually be quite dangerous if you don't have a proper connection, so it slips out of the plug. So let's get into it. It kind of locks the sound, so it becomes a bit unsympathetic, because it just goes like boff, boff, boff. It's just like hammering the sound out. But at the same time, it kind of lures you in because it's so powerful, it's so controlled. But again, it kind of makes it a bit unsympathetic at the same time. But it's like this huge force. It's almost like, I don't know, what do you call it? Electrons or whatever. It's almost like the electrons are just like coming in by the truckload, you know, just like boof, 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 boof. Really a lot of mass that your system can't really handle. And it makes it a bit harsh and punishing, and the detail just becomes slightly flat. I mean, of course, it depends on the plugs that you're using, because if I were to like use a Cardas Inwall plug with a lot of Inwall cable with a lot of plugs, I could get away with that a hell of a lot more, like with a Gigawatt Inwall cable. So I could make that happen, and that could be like a really good, sophisticated kind of compensating type of sound that a lot of people, especially transistor owners and owners with heavy tube gear, would really like to have. But I have to say that it starts to generalize the music a bit, and you get a priority that's going a bit from being a bit fine in the signature over to more of a controlling, powerful type of sound. So it's just so you guys know that these are like the conditions, or whatever you call it, things that you have to expect doing this. And very importantly, I discovered that it feels like you're getting more watts, but the quality of the watt is degraded. I find that very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. The quality of watt somehow gets degraded. So it was interesting going through this phase, trying this, and I hope that by me trying it, that you guys don't attempt to do it, because I know a lot of friends that do this, and it's just plain dangerous. And in the end, you won't like the sound. In the end, you will find that you're lacking the finesse. But hey, you know, it is really cool to experience, and you could easily go like a full month listening to this on some systems, thinking that, wow, this is just like upgrading to a more expensive amplifier, so I don't have to buy a proper amplifier. It does that to some degree. But like with a lot of things in life, it's sort of an illusion of something that is good, but in the end, it's not really good. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this. So this is like threaded cable, and this is solid core cable, and that's the Gigawatt one, just so you know. So having this wrapping around and the metal shielding, it affects the sound compared to the Cardas Inwall. Cardas Inwall is thicker. It's got this annihilated, or however you pronounce it, copper, that is generally with Cardas just slightly softer, thicker, more warm in sound. And you know, the difference in bass between this cable here and the Cardas is actually quite big. And if you went from like a standard, what is legal is that you go and replace the Inwall cables, and you use these cables, assuming that they are legal in the countries that you live in. But going from a normal Inwall cable to like a Cardas cable is going to make your sound a lot more creamy, a lot more heavy in a good way, and it's going to just make everything, give it a proper amount of taste and weight, and like create a pleasant sound, a sound that is just a hell of a lot more pleasant and inviting. And you can just do a lot more stuff on your system that is just not really that good. So yeah, I hope you guys learn something in this video and can somehow use that to your own advantage. And just remember to follow the local laws and guidelines of the country that that you guys live in. So yeah, remember to like and subscribe. Bye.